Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Oh, it is
It
Tuesday,
is
huh?
Tuesday.
I thought that was gonna Monday.
We're usually coming here on a Monday, but yeah, I got sick over the weekend. After our amazing costumes that some of you gave some really awesome comments about.
Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday to this one.
Thank you. Thank you for your all beautiful wishes.
Yes, thank you for all of the awesome comments and the compliments on our costumes. We worked really hard on that. We work hard every year on our costumes.
Yeah.
We just come up with these themes and we run with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out. It was fun. So welcome to another episode of When It's Enough, where we talk about self-love,
relationships,
owning your truth,
and spiritual growth.
And we are talking today about the subject dating potential. And this is a subject, or this is a topic that I've heard like quite a bit lately. So I think this is a phrase that some of you might be familiar with. I remember one time when this was probably like a couple of years ago. As I was itemizing like my last relationship and taking inventory of all the things, which is a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's take inventory. To do. I was like, there was so much potential. And then I was listening to some talk, I'm sure it was on YouTube or a podcast or something, that used this term dating potential, and that's when I was like, that's a thing. Is that a thing? Yeah, it's a term that's being used, and I've been sitting with this dating potential. I think a lot of the conversations we have with friends, a lot of our own experiences that we've gone through, really can understand this topic around dating potential. So we're going to dive into this topic with a lot of openness, honesty, authenticity, as we usually do. Yep, self experiences. Yeah, and would love to hear from you in the comments if you're joining us tonight, or if you catch us on the replay. Any, like, what is a lesson you've learned in the area of dating potential? How not to, or what you've learned in seeing potential or growing in that potential, or yeah, let us know where this topic lies for you. Again, we have people who peruse these comments, so sharing your wisdom is awesome to share forward. So to start, a few things that we're going to talk about. So let's do that. So a few things that we're going to cover today is what exactly is dating potential. We're going to share our own views on that. What does dating potential look like? What does dating the right kind of potential look like? What's the core wounding? Like, why do we end up dating potential? Like, what exactly is going on there? And then how can we empower ourselves, right, as we're going out there and, leaving those rose-colored glasses behind and walking forward in the truth. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking today. So Jasenia, if you want to start us off.
Well, I want to start by defining the word potential, because
that's a good idea. Yeah.
So in me, myself, and I, right? Because the best person I talk to is me, myself, and I.
It's the best conversation I'll ever have.
Best conversation I have. So I'm like, okay, let's really define potential. What is potential? So I looked it up, and it says having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future.
The reality is we're all potential. Go ahead.
So that's what it said, in the future, So then by knowing, the definition of potential, I'm like, oh, so that's what I've been doing, like seeing the potential and then idealizing and like romanticizing, like, oh, this can happen. He can really be this, right? That's the thing we put in our head, or she can be, this and all these things. So I'm like, but I really like him, so I really think that the potential is there.
Hi, Pratima. Yes, catch us on the replay for sure. This is gonna be a good one, girl. Join us.
So, is that reality? We have to be real with ourselves, because I think potential, it's beautiful, and if it's there, it's beautiful to see it in a person.
Yes.
But the thing is, to me, then I thought to myself, okay, if it's there, does it come with action? Is it actually the person is actually becoming or being that person, or showing who the potential that I'm seeing in him? Is he really showing up for that?
Right.
Is he really being what I'm idealizing right now? Like he can be or is capable of?
Yeah.
Is he being that? And then, as time goes by, you're like, well, hopefully he's gonna step into his potential, and the hopes of him becoming what I see in him never came.
All the hope. We're going to talk about the hope. It's the hope story.
The hope. Hopefully. I like him, but hopefully,
Yeah, I mean, and it's, I'm just going to give this perspective too, like in dating both men and women.
Yeah.
Dating potential happens. It's across gender. It doesn't matter. It's interesting. I had this conversation with a few people who were like, I thought it was at least easier in same-sex relationships. Like, no, it's not. People still have baggage. They still have their own wounds, right? Like we all have our own lived experiences that we bring with us, and it's have we resolved those unhealed spaces within us that we can actually show up in a relationship. And so I love what you're talking, Jacinia. Love it. I love it. In this piece around, are they actually going to do the work, right? Like, are they actually going to show up in the potential? Is there action behind the potential? So the dating potential part that we're talking about, because the reality is we're all potential. We are literal potential. And so there's often this conversation on dating potential that's like, don't do it, like run the opposite direction. But potential is what attracts us to the other person, right? Because we can see a lot of beautiful potential. The thing is like, are we wearing rose-colored glasses that we're just focused on the potential, but we're not looking at all the other things that are there? Are they taking the action? And some of the indicators that you can, see with the other person, if they really are living into their potential, is, do they have it all figured out? Right? Like they're like, I don't need your help. I have it all figured out already. Right? That means that they are unwilling to do their work because they think they're totally fine. Or do they find excuses like, yeah, I know I should, but I'm busy, or like I got this going on, or I don't have time, or, I just don't want to feel like there's something wrong with me or I need to be fixed. It's not about being fixed. It's about how we really heal these unresolved wounds so that we can actually show up in a relationship. Because like we've said before, what goes unhealed, right? We act out in our relationships,
and it repeats itself.
It just is a cycle that keeps going, right? And like, are they actually taking actions and showing up in their lives? And now when we are also, one of the things I want to say when we're talking about dating potential, it's not about superficiality.
No.
Like, it's not about having a resume list of characteristics that you're like, oh, they don't have this, they're not tall, they're not this, so that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is like, what are the actual qualities and characteristics of this person, right? Like, how are they showing up in their lives? How are they showing up for them, for themselves? That's the biggest part, Do they have a level of self-compassion and self-love for themselves?
Self-love. Oh
because
my gosh.
let me tell you, as a, like, for us empaths and HSPs, man, we really know how to pick them. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. We can
we attract them. That's something,
we attract them. We can see all the potential, right? Like, we can see all the love, we can see the heart, we can see the, like, who they're becoming, or we see all the beautiful potential.
Yes,
we see
and
it all.
then we say, but I can guide him.
Right.
I can guide him to
I'll
get
just
there.
love them up. They just need to be
They
loved.
just need a little push.
I'm just gonna be there.
Just a little push,
Yes.
for to become what we can see in them.
Oh, Gabriella. Gabriella, is that you? I think so.
Familia, yeah, it is her.
Hi.
Hi.
So good to see you, love.
Yeah, and that, and then that's like, okay, he has this potential, and I know if I show it to him, or if I tell him about it,
Yeah.
or if I hold his hand,
right,
and I walk with him through it,
right,
he's
right.
gonna be able to,
Are gonna,
or she's gonna be able to. She's gonna change because
right.
she said she loves me.
She said
he said he loves me.
Yes.
And then if I'm like showing him, the beautiful things about him,
yeah,
he's gonna be able to change because he wants the best for him,
right? Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Yeah.
When you start pushing that person,
it.
when you start pushing that person, for what they're capable of being or becoming, or what you see, and you're pushing that person to see it, you're becoming the parent.
Right.
You're becoming the mom.
Right.
You're becoming the, parenting a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a role in a relationship.
Right.
It's really seeing the person for who they are,
Yeah.
And by seeing for who they are, it's like really have your eyes wide open.
Right.
Don't just fall in love blindly and not really seeing the person for who he is. You have to be open.
Yes.
Open your eyes.
Yes.
You cannot make a person be who you want them to be. Right? Because that's never gonna happen.
Right.
You can say the most beautiful things about them.
Yes.
And what they can become. And if they don't see it in themselves, it will never happen, because you can never change no one. You can only see your potential, see where you are, see the connection between you and yourself, and see what you really want in a relationship, and then walk through that for, what you want for you.
Right.
We cannot. There is no way we can change no one. And if we're trying to do that, the only thing we're doing to ourselves is become the frustrated person.
Yeah.
Frustrated, annoyed, mad, and all these feelings that come by wanting to change the person. And why is that person not seeing it? It's like frustrated.
Right. Yeah. It's about not doing the emotional labor for other people. If you've heard that term, it's really easy to get in relationships with people who you want to help them realize, right, all that potential that you're seeing, because that's the beauty of who you are. You can really see all that potential. And what we have to get really clear on is, can you, if nothing else changes, right? Like, are you good? Is everything great, right? Like, you are totally feeling this person 110%, regardless if anything changes or not? Or are you seeing all this potential and you're like, gosh, like, they're just closed off right now, but given time, it's good, they're going to open up. Given time, those walls are going to come down. Given time, that behavior is going to change. Given time, that's dating potential. That is a pathway towards something that's not really serving and honoring you. And so much of that are components of what's going on inside, right? Like what is longing to be tended to and cared for inside of you that you're actually witnessing and experiencing in the other person, right? And so it's such a deep vehicle of reflection, right? when it comes to dating potential in the way that it's not actually serving you and not actually serving the other person, right? And the only way that you can really get there oftentimes is like taking some time to take a step back, right? Like to have an awareness of how are you showing up, right? Are you in this rescue, fix, save kind of mode, right? If that's what's coming up, I came across this metaphor of like, if you guys know Chip and Joanna Gaines, who are always flipping houses like on Fixer Upper, as like going in there like Chip and Joanna Gaines does like flipping houses. You're like, great, there's a project. Like there's something to take on. If that's where you're coming from, stop yourself. Stop yourself. And start thinking about why. Like get really curious and get your arms around, like where is that coming from, exactly, Gabriella, love who you are so that the other person will love you too. So much of this, when we talk about, why are we looking for potential, why do we fall into this space, or we've got like blinders on in a way, right, is really because what we haven't totally built up within ourselves is a deep level of self-love and self-esteem, right? That if you keep what can happen with these relationships, right, is that you can fall out of those relationships and then you come back into them again, and then you fall out and then you come back in, and it's that like chase run dynamic, right? All of that is around a very deep core wound that comes from this place of like needing to show up, in it, like when we dive back into those relationships, what it really is like we're diving back in for the love that we didn't get, and that comes from our childhood, and if you really if you really sit, and I love the question that gets broached, like if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm confused, I don't understand what's happening, and if you could just ask yourself, like, who does the person remind you of? Like I was just talking to a really good friend of mine yesterday about this, is like where they had this realization. They were like, I recognize I have this pattern of a type of person that I keep attracting to myself, right? Like they're all, if I look at all these traits, they fit into all these partnerships. And then, I was just thinking about when you talked about this, Sarah, about who do they remind you of? And it was like, holy smokes, this is my dad, right? Oh my gosh, this is my mom, right? It's like it always comes back to those core relationships, right, of our parental figures. And if we can have clarity around that, we can choose differently. We can start to shift the pattern, where we stop making excuses, right, and actually start allowing ourselves to go and move through an experience, but hold ourselves. And that's what I'm learning so much right now, is like how we really hold ourselves throughout life, right? Through like how we take care of ourselves, how we self-care, how we honor our, if you got a spiritual routine, how you maintain that stuff. If you are working out daily, if you're whatever you're doing to fill your cup, that stuff doesn't go to the wayside, right? It's like, how are you doing those things for yourself to hold yourself, right? So that you don't make choices and decisions to dive back into things with people who really are not ready to do the work, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, because when we're focusing on that person, right, when we want to change the person, make the person who we want them to become or be, or, make them see that their potential, you're forgetting about yourself. And then when you forget about yourself, it comes to what she said, to what your child, your childhood, can be your baby, your 9-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 18-year-old, whichever moment in life where you felt that you were being, were being neglected, or where you had you had so much on your shoulders that you had to fix and be and show up in a way, or help someone else, to be that person that maybe your mother told you, well, you need to help your brother, or you need to help your sister to become who she is because you're the oldest, or whatever, situation that you went through, that it reflects in the new relationship that you're going through. So whatever we went through when we were little, and it triggers an emotion, or it triggers an action, the way that we're being, it reflects in those relationships. So when we forget about ourselves, and our mind, our thoughts, our actions is focused on that person, then that's not really a relationship we want to be in, because the one person you cannot forget about when you're in a relationship is yourself. We just can't.
And if you're out there and you're like, I'm an empath, I'm an HSP, you're one of those super sensitive souls and really empathic souls. For me, one of the biggest aha moments I had for myself was, I lived with a parent who had a lot of health problems, and so I was constantly I was vigilant, hyper vigilant about her safety and keeping her safe, because it was like, I might lose this person, right? And there were times where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would just catch her right in time to call 911. And I could have lost my mom that night. And so I recognize, this has been me having done a lot of work over the years to understand patterns for myself, is where that rescuer, fixer part of yourself comes in to play, right? If you can get really close up, lean in with a lot of curiosity, right? And really get close up and put your arms around that part of you and just explore where that comes from. Those dynamics are what often show up in our relationships if we haven't resolved them, right? And so it's not to say that you shouldn't be the loving, caring, supportive, uplifting person that you are, the empathic, nurturing person that you are. Be all of that, because that is who you are. Also be willing to walk away, right? If the person you're in a relationship with or moving into a relationship with just isn't willing to meet you in that space, because you don't have to take on the need to rescue, fix, save, whatever. Yeah. That's not your job. Your role is to do that for yourself and yourself only.
Yeah, you cannot, build a future with a potential. You cannot.
No.
How is your future going to be, how can it be grounded? How can it be, what is the foundation in potential? Potential, if you're seeing that potential in the person, but the person is not showing up as what you see in them, then where is your future with that person? Right? Because you cannot just have a foundation on illusions or in something that you're idealizing.
That's the word, illusions. It's illusory.
You can't. Because illusion to me is like dust. You have it in your hand for 1 minute, and then it's the wind can just blow it away, because what you see is not what they see, and what you want is not what they want. So you cannot change that person. You cannot build your future in something that is not, that they're not becoming that person. Can that person grow? Can that person change? Yes, they can do it. If they want to.
If they want to.
If they want to. Yes. If they want to, not because you're telling them they're going to do it. No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So we need to have our eyes open, because they're showing you what they are now. So they're showing you, and they're really, really showing you. So they have patterns. They act in ways. They talk to you in ways, and then they tell you in your face, I am this way. I am not this way.
And that's the truth. They actually tell you.
They do.
They tell you over time. They tell you. It's not hidden from you.
It's not hidden.
Right.
You choose to hear it or not.
You excuse it away. Don't make excuses.
Yes, you can do that, because you're like, but I like him.
Right.
But I like her.
But if I just, or
But
given time,
if-
but until, if, yeah,
yeah,
all the
if
excuses.
they can grow into their potential with time. Maybe. Hopefully.
Come on, y'all know.
Let's not.
Let's
no,
not do it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like I always say this, and I'm repeating myself again because I said it in the last talk that we had.
Yeah.
3 months, you can really see
Yeah.
who they're really showing you.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
It takes 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you by experience because I see it even in a week. And then I tell
See,
this one,
it's not planned.
I tell this one, look at this. Look at the messages. Like, I don't see. No.
She knows.
I see it.
She
I
knows.
feel it like right here.
Yeah.
If I feel it right here, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
So.
And that's another thing let's talk about too, is like, how are you connected to yourself and your body, right? Like, in the way that you know.
Oh my God, your body's so beautiful.
So beautiful. And it knows. It knows. And it's, there's a line to tread because there's this woman who I listen to on YouTube. Her channel's great. It's just, she goes by the crappy childhood fairy. Like, I love the name of her channel. It's hilarious. But she talks about when you have had a lot of trauma, right? Like, being able to differentiate like what is real, like what is a real response in your body, or what is actually like PTSD or a trauma response, right? And so it's like it's you need to have connection to your body and also have like connection to your heart, right? Where your head is clear and you're connected to your body, right? If you are rooted in the midst of a lot of trauma and you're listening to your body and you have like a lot of trauma in your background, you might not be hearing clearly. And I want to give real honesty to that. And what's helpful with that is to actually like reach out for support to people. That's when you go to find a therapist, right? Or lean on, the close relationships or friendships in your family to be like, you're scratching your head. They're like, look, I'm not sure about this. Can I share some stuff with you? And, and people who you can trust to lay out the full gamut of what is going on and be open to some feedback, right? But for those of you who are very attuned to your body, who have a connection, right? When we talk about intuition, we talk about our higher self. Like, I love that's the term that you use a lot, Cynthia. It's like we're talking to our higher self, your third eye, whatever it is you want to call it, right? To really lean into that sense and feeling, because it will let you know.
It will. And like she said, you have to be very, very clear. Why? Because sometimes we can act out of fear. We can act out of they're triggering these emotions and feelings and stuff that we felt, like I said, at whatever time in our lives, age, or phases in our life, that we went through in our past, that are showing up right now. So it's being very clear. Is it coming up from fear, or ask yourself, where is this feeling? Where am I feeling it? Okay, how can I connect back? And if you have that calmness, that clarity in your mind, and it's connected with your heart, and you're feeling it right here, then it's a true feeling, because our heart fills it with love and compassion, right? Yes. For ourselves and for the other person. So if you have that calmness and you're like, okay, breathe in, breathe out, and let's connect with our higher self, and let's wait for the response. And and it might not happen right there at the moment, but set boundaries, to whatever emotions you're feeling at the moment, and just be like, okay, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you, and I'll talk to you later. And then go to your safe space and pray or meditate, or however you connect, and you find ways to have that answer that you're looking for that answer that you have to give to that person, right? It's like you want that answer to come with love and compassion, because you're showing up as who you are. You're not showing up as who they're making you be,
Right.
or pushing you to be, or triggering you to be, right?
Right.
So it's really that connecting with your higher self, which comes with love and compassion.
Right.
And then when you come from that space, it's either her in a way with love and compassion, or
Mhm.
it's her with like, okay, she's trying to make me feel this way, and then you'll know if
Mhm.
that person is really connecting with you and with love,
Mhm.
and if they really love you, and if they want this to go through, right? This
Yeah.
relationship to happen.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very important.
And when it comes to, just the rose-colored glasses that people tend to wear, like the things that get excused, the sort of behavior that gets excused away, is first and foremost to really get curious about, if you're attracted towards someone that you recognize has a lot of hang-ups or a lot of holding out, right? Like we all life life we all go through life, experience all sorts of things, right? Where we can armor up, we can wear masks, we can hide out, we can play small, right? But if that's not where you are in your life anymore, right? Like if you're a person who is really stepping into authenticity, if what you want is a partnership that is really going to honor you with a level of love and support and security, right? But you're choosing a relationship with someone who isn't acting that way, but you're seeing all this potential of what they could be, you have to really ask yourself and look at why you're choosing that relationship rather than allowing yourself to move forward to see, and be open to the experience that it is that you actually really want to engage with, right? Like one of the things I feel like I'm coming to learn when we talk about this, like graduating, is like we can go through these cycles where we're put in these different scenarios or situationships, or dealing with relation shoppers. This is a new term that I really like people who are shopping for, like, I just want an experience, I'm just here to check out a relationship, but they don't actually really want a relationship, but you're co-signing that, right? Is to really get curious around, where's your belief, right? Where does it lie that you actually can have the secure, loving relationship that you want, right? And where in you is there that doubt, and how can you love that part of yourself up? How can you tend to nurture that part of yourself up? How can you create a different story or a different belief for yourself? Because it is possible. It happens all the time, right? And it's what we are making an agreement for. And so in this level of graduating, it's like life will give us or send us these sort of experiences so that we can have more clarity, right? To do that work to clean up those limiting beliefs, clean up those areas of doubt, like nurture, heal the wound, right? Like it's time to dive into those areas so that you really can manifest what it is that you truly want.
Yeah, and so when it also comes to the being clear of what you want,
Mm-hmm.
the being clear of what you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
the being clear of how much are you loving yourself, that you won't let anybody in your life that is not going to love you and meet you at the same way that you're loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's setting those standards, and it's asking for their values. How do they value life?
Mm-hmm.
What are their values in life? How are they showing up for them in life?
Mm-hmm.
For themselves. How do they cope with stressful situations?
Mm-hmm.
How do is like really seeing them. Seeing the potential is beautiful, but it's really seeing them how they act up with their potential, right? If they're really
Eyes
connected,
of truth. That's what I say.
if they're really connected with who you're seeing,
no,
and if they're really showing up as what you're seeing, right? So it's like asking, asking and asking the questions and setting boundaries, and because when, like I say, we make the list, right? The list of what we want. Like she said,
Yeah.
we're not asking for a man that's millionaire,
Right.
or a girl that has a beautiful body, or
Right.
all this stuff. No, but
Right.
like, to me, somebody that's emotionally available,
Yes.
somebody that's attentive,
Right.
somebody that's
Honest.
that's honest, that's
Good
that's
communicator.
consistent,
Consistency.
consistency,
Reciprocal.
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody that's showing up,
Generous. Yeah.
showing up as who they were from the beginning.
Right.
Because if they're showing you this
that
mask,
consistency piece is huge.
if they're showing you this mask today, right?
Yeah.
Which I'll call it mask right now.
It is a mask.
At the end, as time goes by,
starts to slip.
It comes down, and,
Yeah.
it comes off real quick, because it's
Yes.
hard for them to keep up what they were showing up on the beginning, because they're not that person.
Right.
They are truly not that person.
Yeah.
So when I say they're really showing you who they really are showing you who they are. It's just that we choose to be like, but I like him, or he's cute, and he's this, and he's that, and she's this, and she's that. No, it's seeing the whole picture for what it is.
Yeah.
And they are.
Yeah.
And it's the only way to have a loving relationship. It's really,
that really serves you.
It really serves you. Yeah, because you don't want a project. You really don't want a project.
You don't want a project. That's a waste of your time and energy. And here's what I'm going to say too, is if you're listening to this and you're like, I recognize I might be in a relationship that's a pet project, right? My question to you is, what areas of your life are you avoiding yourself? Why are you taking on a project out here, right? Like, what is it that where could your time and energy be better placed for yourself? And I'll be honest, if you are walking around life carrying a lot of doubt that like, this isn't going to happen, you can't do this, like you have all these dreams, aspirations, right? And you're not doing your work because your own fear, your own anxieties or whatever. And it's just really easy to like make a relationship the project, right? Rather than what is the work that God has intended for you? How do you need to be showing up in your life for yourself? What are the areas for you that you actually need to make your project and put all your time and energy into, right? And it's how, to get really honest about when you're taking on a project, in a relationship, why is that? What are you actually avoiding?
Yeah. It comes to asking, the question for yourself is like, okay, why am I with this person? Because I want to feel love. Okay, then how can I love myself?
Mm-hmm.
So I won't look for it outside myself.
Yeah.
What can I do for myself to see it within me, right? Because when you feel love, when you love yourself, you really are not going to take somebody that's not whole, that is not doing, is not doing the work of becoming a better version of themselves, who's not like, is not at the same level as you are. You're not going to show that, and you're not going to spend your time with someone that's not showing up as the person that they were from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it's the beautiful thing is knowing the love that you deserve. Mm-hmm. And by knowing the love that you deserve is how are you loving yourself?
Yeah. And is one of those reasons about not wanting to be alone, right? Because it's like, I don't want to feel lonely, mm-hmm. right? If loneliness is a trigger there, this is an aha for me, probably about a year ago.
John.
Hi, John. Thanks for joining us. Is that this loneliness aspect, right? Like, I had this realization, like, God, when I am really showing up in my life, when I am seeking out all the things that give me joy, when I am doing all the things to self-care and honor myself that I love, if I'm diving into work that I feel really passionate about, right? Like, if I find all these other areas in my life to pour my passion into, I feel like I'm not lacking anything, right? I don't even think about a relationship because I feel so full and abundant in all these other areas. That when you're not honoring your own joy, right? And when you're afraid to give yourself the permission to explore, what is joy for me? You know, what do I love doing? Where are my passions aligned? Am I holding myself back or playing small or skirting away, right, from the areas where I need to play full out and big in my life, right? That's where that loneliness piece comes from. It's actually not about being in a relationship with another person, but really about how are you fostering the relationship with yourself, and how are you fostering your relationship to life with yourself, right? So if loneliness is one of those things, like, not the time, it's like time to start creating a joy book and start to do the work and dive into your passion, your joy, all those things that you're like, I can't, I don't know. You put it on the back burner. Maybe you threw it aside and you're like, this isn't possible. Start pulling that stuff out and allow yourself the permission to start showing up in your life in a really big way.
Because when you're settling, because it's really settling, when you're settling for potential, settling for a project, is because there is something in you that you don't want to see. There is something in you that you don't want to face. There is something in you that you don't want to feel. There is something in you that's really hurting you, and you're just like, okay, well, this person will do for this time and this time, but in the long run, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are creating this idea with that person, and that person is not even there with you.
Right.
So who's the only person that hurts? It's you. So if you're going to settle for someone that's not bringing you the love that you deserve, then you need to start looking for that love within you, first you, in order to know who you're going to let in and who you're not. Because it's really honoring and loving yourself, and, and being like, I really enjoy my time with you, but you're not showing up in this way for me, where I will love, where I know what I deserve and want. So I think it's our time to, just let this go, and, thank you for your time. And, the door is open.
Yeah.
I am not going to settle for someone that doesn't meet me or is not at the level of the work that I'm doing for myself.
Yeah. Yep. If they are not willing to do the work and they want to move on, let them go.
Let them go.
Let it be, and start showing up for yourself,
Don't settle for what could be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Settle for what you want.
Yes.
What is like a hard yes for you,
Yeah.
like a hell yes, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
I think we covered it. So thanks for joining us tonight, diving into this topic. And again, feel free to share with us, what you're coming to discover for yourself around this idea around potential, and any ahas that you had, from our talk tonight. We really appreciate you joining us every week. We love all of you.
We love you, and know that you come first.
Know that you come first. Yes. Always you.
Always you.
Sending you lots of hearts.
Muchos besitos. Bye-bye.
Bye.